Very peaceful.
Hi, Colleen.
All right, cheers.
Good thing we have a remote for the secrets.
We miss you.
Here we go, we can do that.
Oh, that's great.
I don't miss you because I feel like you're right here with us.
Okay, for those of us online, we're just gonna, let's do a do-over. Calling the meeting to order and roll call when I call your jurisdiction, if you would please state your name. San Mateo County, Atherton,
Rick DeGolia.
thank you, Belmont,
Tom McCune.
thank you, Brisbane,
Colleen Mackin, and I'm joining per SB 707 Just Cause, and there are no adults over 18 in the room.
thank you. Burlingame. Colma,
Gonzalez.
Daly City,
That's me.
East Palo Alto,
Mark Diamond.
Foster City, Stacy Jimenez, Half Moon Bay,
Patrick Johnson.
Hillsborough,
Leslie Ragsdale.
Los Banos, Menlo Park,
Betsy Nash.
Millbrae, Pacifica,
Christine Bowles.
Portola Valley,
Craig Taylor.
Redwood City, San Bruno,
Marty Medina.
San Carlos,
John Dugan.
San Mateo,
Adam Lorraine.
South San Francisco,
James Pullman.
Woodside.
That's on Breach.
Thank you. We have a farm.
Fantastic. So we're going to empower our city clerk to introduce the various items as we go forward. That's kind of what I'm used to in San Bruno. And it kind of allows the meeting to flow a little bit better. So when she's ready, we go. All right, so we spoke about this and we're going to give this a try. And if it doesn't work out very well, we can always change it. But I think doing it a little different sometimes works out.
Certainly keep you on my toes.
Yes. So city clerk.
Thank you. Our next item on the agenda is public comment for items that are not on the agenda. If there are any members of the public who would like to give comment, please raise your hand in the Zoom app or in the room, I guess. And seeing none, we can close public comment. Our next item on the agenda is the action to set the agenda and to approve the consent agenda items. We only have one consent agenda item today, and that is the approval of the minutes from the February 26th board meeting. Is there any public comment on the consent items?
We need a motion.
Seeing none.
So moved. Second.
Ooh,
Post second to Director Dugan with the initial from
Lorraine.
Mayor Lorraine over there.
and we will do a roll call vote. San Mateo County, Atherton,
Yes.
Belmont,
Yes.
Brisbane,
Yes.
Burlingame, Colma,
Yes.
Daly City,
Yes.
East Palo Alto,
Yes.
Foster City,
Yes.
Half Moon Bay,
Yes.
Hillsborough,
Yes.
Los Banos, Menlo Park,
Yes.
Millbrae, Pacifica,
Yes.
Portola Valley,
Yes.
Redwood City, San Bruno,
Yes.
San Carlos,
Yes.
San Mateo,
Yes.
South San Francisco,
Yes.
Woodside.
Yes.
Thank you, and the motion passes.
Fantastic.
Our next item on the agenda is the chair report. Chair Medina.
Yes, thank you very much. So far, so good. I'll be reporting later on in the agenda, but basically, it's great to be here. Thank you all for being here. I hope you're enjoying your salads and look forward to a good meeting tonight.
Our next item on the agenda is the CEO report.
Okay.
Marshall.
Great. Folks, I don't know, Nellie, can we make that a full screen?
Oh, sure.
I think just so folks can see it. Awesome,
There we go.
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming. And for those of you online, welcome. I have my usual grab bag of updates to share with you all. So without further ado, we're gonna upload all the different activities. I would say that really the theme here in the last couple of months has been sort of heads down, implementing, and also just preparing for an onslaught of activities this spring. So March was a busy month. I do want to thank all the different board members who were part of all these different events. In March, we had the San Mateo Community College District Sustainability Hub ribbon cutting, which was attended by Chair Medina and Councilmember Mayor Lorraine. Thank you for that. We had our first community feedback forum meeting in Half Moon Bay. And that was attended by, I believe, I think around 100 people, both in person and combined on Zoom, with several different breakouts, a lot of Spanish speaking. By any measure, it was a great success for our first meeting. Our next one is in May. I don't know, May 4th. May 4th, okay, in Redwood City, I believe. So we're off and running with those.
And Director Mueller and Director Johnson also came.
Oh, thank you for that. Thank you very much. We have kicked off our council briefings that will occur between March and May. We did 3 of them in Los Banos, Daly City, and East Palo Alto. So for those board members, thank you for having us and also for approving the JPA amendment that's required for us to change our name. Just last night, the Sustainable San Mateo County Awards took place. And I do want to thank and recognize Councilmember Nash, Director Nash, for the City of Menlo Park who received a Sustainability Award for their aggressive and leadership reach codes. So congratulations for that. And then we had several subcommittee working group meetings throughout the month. And April is equally busy. So just a quick heads up, more council briefings. We'll look at those in a minute. PCE is sponsoring an event at San Francisco Climate Week on April 20th. This is an event that's going to focus on how to electrify without upsizing or without having to redo your panel. It's really been an area of thought leadership for us in the last year and a half. And it's free. And so any board member that would like to go, please notify Nellie and we'll make sure we get you registered for that. We have lots of Earth Day community events. Myself and Mike Milkey will be going to Washington, D.C. for our federal lobby days. One might think that we don't have a lot to discuss necessarily in Washington, but in fact, we have a lot to discuss. And we're just trying to kind of keep community choice aggregation out there and in the minds of the folks in Washington so that when things shift, we're ready to move forward and kind of be back up and running again in DC. So that's happening in April. And then we have marketing and programs working groups this month as well. Just so you could take a look, this is the updated schedule of presentations for council briefings. I think Mark is still working on the county and maybe Half Moon Bay. There's just a couple more that we need to schedule, but as you can see, a lot going on and we will be to come see you very soon. Lots of community events, as I mentioned. And then I did want to just quickly provide an update. If you are serving on executive committee, apologies because you've heard some of this, but a lot has been happening through these first couple of months to move ahead with our rebrand and our new name and really refining the look and feel for Westlight Energy. I do want to acknowledge the marketing working group that's met now, I think twice. There will be another meeting upcoming. The executive committee did a deep dive briefing earlier this month. So the plan is that at the April 13th executive committee, we will have a longer briefing with a couple of options, logo options, font styles, things like that to share with executive committee. And of course, led by the marketing subcommittee with a recommendation that would then go, a final recommendation to go to the board in April. And I want to explain that if it was a perfect world and we had all kinds of time, we would bring to the board multiple options. But because we're on a time constraint to roll this out by May, that's the process that we're using. So we're leaning into the executive committee to provide some good feedback, and then we'll bring it to the board at the end of next month. That is the plan of action there. Quick update on the office space. So once again, the executive committee had a deep dive on this topic earlier this month, but I'll just do the quick highlights for the rest of the board. As you know, we signed a lease at 400 South El Camino. Starting hopefully in October, but could push to November, just depending on how things go. It is a significantly larger space than we currently have. You can see up there, the general floor plan, the blue at the bottom is not blank space. Those will actually be filled with cubicles and different desks and things for, staff member workstations. But we have significantly increased the number of conference rooms. We have a wellness room. We have an all-gender restroom and a couple of phone booths. It's gonna be a much more modern space. And I think you all will enjoy it when we get there. Just showing you some of the design inspiration that we've had in terms of color palette for the office. It's not entirely different than what we've got here. And you'll see in a second, in part, that's so we can reuse a lot of the furniture that we already have. And bring as much as we can with us. And then the last thing on this one is just want to make the entire board aware of kind of our guiding principles on getting the new office ready. And that's essentially value engineering the heck out of this thing so that we use as much of the existing office infrastructure and facilities as we can. So we're minimizing the number of walls that we're taking down. We do have to move some walls. We're using the kitchen cabinets that are there, et cetera, et cetera. So we're doing as much as we can with what we have. We are selecting standard building finishes, nothing fancy. It will look fresh and clean and nice, don't worry, but we're not going overboard with any gold plated stuff. We are prioritizing must-do upgrades. So there's a lot of electrical work that needs to be done. The bathrooms are original. The building's much older, so the bathrooms need to be redone, the boardroom, etc. ADA, there's quite a bit of ADA upgrade work that has to be done. We are, through Nellie and team, working on exploring secondhand furniture. I guess there are companies that specialize, companies go out of business and why buy new furniture when you can use gently used existing furniture? So we're doing that. And then if we have to phase in certain discretionary elements, like for example, if we want a backsplash or we want some wood on a wall and we don't want to put it in this year's budget, we could do it in a phase 2. So there's some things that may come in the second year that are more design features. So I just want to make you all aware that we're moving ahead with that and work will begin once the current tenant moves out in July. So we will be busy July through October. Tip of the hat to Nick and Nellie, who are really leading this effort. Almost done. Want to let you know that we have a temporary increased incentive for heat pump water heaters. This is an additional $500 on top of $3,500 that customers can get April 1 through May 31. We're doing this in partnership with Silicon Valley and San Jose, just to kind of jumpstart and boost heat pump water heater adoption, sort of timed with tax returns. So perhaps folks will take the incentive and use the opportunity. We are also working with our account services key accounts team. Justin Pine is here tonight. We're going to be doing some targeted outreach to local governments who have some potential high growth in commercial sector, working with your planning departments to make sure we stay ahead of any planned growth coming, whether that's data centers, large manufacturing. In Brisbane, for example, a lot of warehouse, a lot of battery storage. And we're really doing this for the purpose of improving our local load forecasting, improving relationships with local planning staff, and basically just being ready for the future of load growth so that we can plan for great stability for those customers. So we have identified who we think are sort of the top 5 for commercial load. It's probably not Atherton, for example. So Justin will be in touch with your planning department, and then if you have any questions, feel free to tag him at the end of the meeting. Yes.
On the heat pump water heater is April 1 to May 31, when the additional incentive will be available?
Yes,
And what is the period during that would apply to for installation? Is it,
are you in the room, Philip?
We're basing it on when people apply and they have to these are people who apply for the rebate after they've done with their install. And they're required to submit their paperwork within 90 days of actually doing the project. So there's gonna be some people that have started doing it in the past, but our contractors are gonna be out there promoting it as a way to like generate new stuff and turn it around within that two
so it'll reach back for people that, but reach back 90 days before April 1, or might it reach back further than 90 days?
90 days maximum. So no earlier than 90 days before that.
Okay.
But people tend to be pretty quick about saying that.
It's a nice incentive. Yes,
So if you're reaching back, then people have already made the decision to install a heat pump, so that's seems a little different.
Maybe you can go to the microphone.
Sure.
yeah.
Yes, so that will be true. So some folks are doing it now, although it's at a relatively stable level. What we're really banking on is that our contractors are going to be out there promoting it through this 2-month time period and trying to turn around these projects within that time, which are pretty quick to do. These projects they generally can be done pretty quickly. That's what we're leveraging. It's a little administratively easier for us to focus on when we're getting in the applications as opposed to kind of keeping it as a trailing install date afterwards. But really, we're expecting that our contractors are going to be out there promoting this and doing most of them during that time frame.
Thank you.
Thank you, Philip.
Do you mind saying which 5 cities you plan to reach out to for hydro?
Your city is on. So initially, help me out, Justin, but I think it's Redwood City, Daly City, South City, Brisbane, and Sabatair. Thank you. But that does not preclude others. That's just where we're gonna start. And if you all are aware of large load coming in, new manufacturing or any of that, we would appreciate you being in touch with us so that we can get ahead of it. We're just trying to be ready for anything that's coming in.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Senator Carlin, we just approved about 1.2 million square feet of lab with Alexandria, so.
Okay, great.
Expected over the next 4 or 5 years.
Justin, you're in the room?
Yeah.
Okay. That's exactly what we want to know. So thank you very much. That's perfect. Great. Okay. Next up is, I believe, our legislative update.
All right, thank you, Sean. Good evening, directors, colleagues, members of the public. I'm here again to give you an update on legislative items at both the federal and state level. Due to the limited time that I have, I'll focus on the most material updates that have taken place since the board packet went out to you last week. So to lead off, we'll start with the state level. So first, the budget picture has modestly improved, I'm happy to say, in the near term, but underlying uncertainty remains. Recent signals suggest revenues are coming in somewhat stronger than January predictions and on the order of several billion dollars. However, the structural imbalance persists and legislative leadership remains cautious, reinforcing a focus on affordability, oversight, and avoiding new spending initiatives. Second, affordability has further solidified as the dominant political lens shaping energy policy. As the June primary approaches and no clear gubernatorial frontrunner has emerged, legislative behavior has become even more risk averse. Members are increasingly focused on rate impacts and cost of living concerns. Third, there are some recent updates on 2 Cal CCA sponsored bills as well as our co-sponsored bill. So first, the PCIA transparency bill, that's AB 1761 by Assemblymember Chris Rogers, who represents the North Coast. You'll recall it's a bill that focuses on introducing transparency into the power charge and difference adjustment, or PCIA, that we support. I'm happy to report that this bill passed out of its first committee hearing in Assembly's Utility and Energy unanimously, 15-0, and it's headed to Assembly appropriations. RA Transactability, that's the second bill, SB 1138 by Steve Padilla from Chula Vista. That looks to allow LSCs, load serving entities, to trade hourly resource adequacy or RA obligations under the new slice of day framework, which we also support. This bill is set for its first hearing on April 7th, which is right after the legislature returns from its spring recess. And finally, momentum is continuing to build around transmission planning reform with our co-sponsored bill, AB 2111, well positioned as part of that conversation. As policymakers grapple with load growth, reliability risks, and rising costs, there's increasing recognition that the current planning framework is not keeping pace. So this dynamic continues to create a strong opening for our legislation and helps reinforce its core message around building infrastructure earlier and more cost effectively. This bill is set for its first hearing on April 8th. On that note, on behalf of PCE, I would like to thank all of you that worked with your cities and the county to get a support letter in on these three bills. And I would like to remind you that if your jurisdiction wasn't able to meet the letter submission deadline for the first hearing, it's not too late. You can still send in the letter, and we would greatly support that or appreciate that support as the legislative session continues to move forward. Next slide, please. On to the federal level, thank you. So there's also been some material updates worth noting there. So first on earlier this month, California joined a multi-state lawsuit challenging EPA's rescission of the endangerment finding and related vehicle greenhouse gas rules, escalating the broader legal fight over federal climate policy and authority. Second, earlier this month, also the White House released an AI legislative framework stating that ratepayers should not bear the costs of data center growth and energy use. It's a notable federal signal that aligns with PCE's concern that new large loads should not shift costs. Third, energy market volatility tied to the Iran conflict has intensified, and that along with ongoing Section 301 trade investigations and potential tariffs are adding further cost uncertainty, increasing the risk of higher energy prices and further complicating the long-term power procurement picture. Finally, federal permitting reform efforts are advancing procedurally, with proposals increasingly being positioned for inclusion in must-pass legislative vehicles and expanding to include both transmission siting and interconnection reform, which is good news for PCE. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you, Lenny.
Thank you.
Okay, this is my very last slide, just a heads up of our dates in April. And that concludes my report tonight. Thank you.
Fantastic.
Maybe take a question.
Any questions, anybody?
Any public comment?
All right.
Our next item will be approval of appointments to the Executive Committee and the Audit and Finance Committee, led by Chair Medina.
Yes, thank you very much. We're very pleased to announce a couple of additions and changes to reaching on the Executive Committee and the that's the slide. Thank you very much. That's really, really helpful. So there on the slide are all of the slate of directors that we need to vote on the Executive Committee. As we can see there, Director DeGolia. We have a new addition, Director McCune. Thank you very much for being willing to step up. Director Mackin, Director Colson, Vice Chair Ragsdale, Director Nash, Director Fung, myself, and Director Dugan. Those are the Executive Committee slate. And the Audit and Finance, Director Colson, Director Dinan, our new addition, Director Jimenez. Thank you. I'll make sure I pronounce his name right because I'm going to say it many times. It's Director Amabile. Anybody tell me what's that? Amabile. I got it totally wrong. All right. And Director Martinez Ceballos. That is our slate. Yeah, if I'm gonna entertain a motion. So moved over by Director Lorraine, second from Director Bowles. Roll call vote.
San Mateo County, San Mateo County, Atherton,
Yes.
Belmont,
Aye.
Brisbane,
Yes.
Burlingame, Colma.
Aye.
Daly City,
Yes.
East Palo Alto,
Yes.
Foster City,
Yes.
Half Moon Bay,
Yes.
Hillsborough,
Yes.
Los Banos, Menlo Park, Millbrae, Pacifica,
Yes.
Portola Valley,
Aye.
Redwood City, San Bruno,
Yes.
San Carlos,
Yes.
San Mateo,
Yes.
South San Francisco,
Yes.
Woodside.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Fantastic. Can we get a round of applause for our it should be continuing to be a great time here, and welcome aboard to our newest directors. Go ahead.
And I should say, we should have asked for public comment before we took that vote,
Yeah.
but is there any public comment at this point? Okay, seeing none. All right, our next item is the PCE rate and program affordability overview led by our COO, Charlene Swarm.
I'll go up to the podium.
Thank you.
All right, good evening, everyone. Oh, good evening, everyone. Very excited to talk about the rate and program affordability overview tonight. As Mike mentioned, it is a very hot topic in Sacramento and federally, and also I'm sure you all have heard much from your constituents about this. So I'm going to be the fire hose, which is the overview of everything. And then I will pause for questions at various points throughout the presentation. So I'll pause for questions after we discuss why electricity bills are so high. I'll pause again after understanding how PCE is responding in both managing cost of service and rate design and bill stability. And then I'll pause again at the end, so because it's just a lot of information. I will not be answering all the questions. We have our subject matter experts here and online. If they all presented on what they wanted to present, you would have been here until tomorrow. So that's why I am sort of doing the overview. Okay, so why are electricity bills so high? This is from the Public Utilities Commission's Office of Ratepayer Advocates. And this shows that over the last 10 years, there has been a massive increase in changes to electricity rates throughout the state. In PG&E's area, 76%. And I think we're lucky we don't live in SoCal right now because their rates have gone up about 100% each. And that is mostly due to the drivers that are listed on the right, which is wildfire mitigation and insurance due to fires caused by utility infrastructure, transmission and distribution investments, both to repair old infrastructure and to connect new renewable energy infrastructure, as well as the rooftop solar incentives that cost shift from rooftop solar owners to non-rooftop solar owners. This is a chart of the bundled customer rate component. So this is not a CCA customer. This is a PG&E bundled customer. You can see the rates start at 2017 and go to 2026. As you can see, a lot of the increase has been in the orange area, which is distribution. And that really addresses both aging infrastructure and wildfire related repairs that need to be made. The generation costs have been very high the last few years. You can see in 24 and 25, the generation costs were very high. That was due to very high renewable energy prices, as well as capacity prices, what we call RPS and RA. We expect those costs to go down. And so we will see the green part of the chart reduce, but we will still see transmission and distribution quite high. For a comparison for PCE, these are PG&E rates versus PCE generation rates. So this does not include the transmission or delivery. The PG&E rates are in blue, and you can see that the PCE generation rate is in green, plus the PCIA in orange. You can see in 24 and 25, we had very low PCIA, and that was due to the high energy costs I just mentioned. Remember that PCIA is meant to compensate the utilities for above market costs. So if there are no above market costs, they are not compensated through the PCIA. PCIA in 2026 is quite high due to CPUC intervention late last year and an under collection in 25. So they've pushed that under collection out to 26. So the prices are higher now. I do want to note that even with the orange bar, that PCE has consistently been 5 to 10% below PG&E and saving our customers over $225 million since inception. So if you want to look at what we're competing against, you can see that PCE has consistently been far below PG&E's generation rate on many occasions. So I will take a pause there just to make sure that everybody feels comfortable about the understanding why the rates have gotten higher.
I'm just curious about the rooftop solar, like how much of a percentage of that is that roughly to someone's bill?
I believe, I don't know bill to bill, but I believe roughly statewide, they're quoting a cost shift of $8 billion. And Justin Kudo may know is there on the line as well.
Can you go to the prior slide that
Sure.
shows that?
Which category does that fit in?
The one before this.
Oh, this is this one?
Yeah.
That one.
Okay. Justin, do you know the impact of the solar cost shift on an individual's bill?
I believe it's currently projected at about 20%. But I will note, there's a lot of different perspectives on where those cost shifts are. When we do talk about the solar cost shift, we're mostly talking about a lack of transmission and distribution charges that are paid by solar customers like myself.
Yes.
So do we know that the sort of roughly 25% difference is because PG&E is being efficient, or are they just behind and they haven't done what the Southern California utilities have done? And that 25% is just coming, it just hasn't gotten here yet.
That I do not know. Justin, do you know?
Yeah, sure. If you wouldn't mind going back or forward 2 slides, excuse me. That PCIA chunk that you're looking at right there, the more that we are paying into PCIA, the lower it also pushes PG&E's generation rates because it's all considered generation revenue. So really, it's that 1-year correction that's going on right now. Once that correction expires, PG&E's numbers will be closer to the Southern California utilities.
Okay, and I think what I was really trying to get at is, it sounds like, at least in Southern California, they're upgrading aging infrastructure, they're dealing with wildfire. Do we think PG&E is sort of roughly on par in terms of getting the work done here in Northern California? I'm just trying to make an apples to apples comparison. And I know it's tough, but I'm just trying to get a general sense.
Yeah, I would say that Southern California has less woody areas that Northern California has. PG&E has transmission lines and distribution lines going through. Also, SoCal Edison and SDG&E did make significant safety investments before PG&E. And so I would say they're a little bit ahead on that front.
Real quick, could you go back 1 slide? I'm just curious what the one-time jump in distribution was in 24. It was kind of a steady, growth up until then, but then there's this one-time jump.
Yeah, Justin, would you like to answer that?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, that would be the beginning of approval of some very large wildfire expenses.
Okay.
A lot of that has to do with the undergrounding as well.
All right, since we gotta keep moving, if you have more questions, we can answer them at the end. But we really do want to focus today on how PCE is responding to these affordability issues. And there's 4 main areas. The first is managing cost of service to maintain competitive rates. So our energy procurement is by far the largest expense our agency has. It's about 90% of the budget. So as a result, disciplined portfolio design and optimization is really crucial to making sure that we are able to maintain our rates below PG&E's. So the first thing that we do is matching load shape. So that really leads to efficiencies where we're not over procuring in some hours and under procuring in other hours. That makes sure that we're not doing extra transactions or buying more than we need or buying on the spot market late in the game. We're also very diversified across resource types, contract structures, and market exposures to maintain flexibility. So that is also important to reduce overall costs. We do strategic contracting. So when we're negotiating long-term PPAs, I have to say, Roy's team, pretty killer on negotiating. I've seen them in action. They are not easy customers. And I say that as someone whose grandmother took them bargaining at Crawford Market in Mumbai. So I have seen some bargaining in my day. And Roy's team is really top notch. And long-term contracts provide price certainty and reduce exposure to market volatility over time. We also have done prepaid transactions, which is essentially legal tax arbitrage that allows us to reduce the cost of some contracts by 10% year over year. We do hedging, which is essentially a financial tool that provides a sort of insurance against market volatility. And we have really robust risk management structures. This board approved a risk oversight committee in 2024. And also we have obviously board intervention on all of our large contracts over 5 years, or board approval. And then also, lastly, I really don't want to underplay this measured approach to 24/7 renewable energy innovation. You know, a few years ago, we had decided that we wanted to be 100% renewable and 100% 24/7 renewable in 2030. And honestly, it's really thanks to the courage of this board that in both 24 and 2025, the board really looked at how much is this going to cost our customers? And a more measured approach was taken after many discussions, both with the procurement team and also with our strategic planning. So now we have a more gradual approach to 24/7 that tries to balance affordability with our renewable energy goals. Rate design and bill stability. So we have a rate stabilization fund. It currently has $128 million in it, and we expect to pay that down over the next few years. We also have robust financial planning. I do have to give a plug to Nick and Justin. There are lots of long-term forecasts that we do on the financial planning side that I think are the best in the business. We saw the PCIA increase coming before anybody else did in the CCA community. Also, with our financial planning, we have our board audit and finance committee, which meets regularly and oversees the budget. And moving to bill stability programs, we have the arrearage management program and Match My Payment, which forgives specific debt on individual customers' bills. And we also last month instituted a budget billing program, which evens out bill volatility for customers throughout the year. So at this point, I'll stop because this really represents a large portion of our budget, and I'll allow folks to ask questions on these 2 slides. And Roy is on the line. Right.
So you kind of put it under financial planning, but I think a significant issue for us in managing our rates is general cost management. This board has always been focused on cost and trying to manage what our needs are and not to let the costs go. And in the initial slide that showed why the IOU rates were going up, which was provided by the PUC, those 3 reasons. The one thing that wasn't mentioned was cost management, because the PUC really doesn't manage the IOU costs. That's an internal thing which isn't very well managed, and those costs drive their rates, which the PUC has historically rubber stamped every single time. So I think that's a significant issue for us that ought to be called out. But I think we've worked hard to manage our costs. And I think one of the reasons that PG&E's rates keep going up is because those costs aren't really managed.
Thank you, Rick, and thanks for reminding me. We did institute cost of service rate making a couple years ago as well, and that also has the ability to reduce our customers' bills.
And in fact, when we did that, we shifted to cost of service, sort of the hybrid. But right around the same time, we were able to go from a standard 5% to what has really been a standard 10% discount in the last 2.5, 3 years. I don't know that we're going to be able to maintain that. We've talked about that before, but there's some relationship also to just getting very, very clear about our cost centers and really shrinking variance as well. So thank you.
More questions for Roy or Leslie or Justin here? Okay, we could save them till the end. Moving on to programs to lower upfront energy costs. So that was sort of, I was talking about writ large, what we're doing for all customers. Now we're talking about programs that individual customers can take advantage of to lower their upfront energy costs. We have some income qualified programs. We have a used EV rebate. We also are working with CEC funding and the Equitable Building Decarbonization Program. That's focusing primarily in Los Banos and East Palo Alto right now, electrifying low-income housing. We also have our home upgrade program and 0% home electrification loans for all customers. Our home upgrade program has tiered support. So you could do self-service, you can do some appliances, you can have PCE handle the whole thing for you if you're low-income customer. So we have different tiers of service for all residential customers to lower their electricity bills. We also have programs to reduce ongoing energy costs. Our EV Ready program provides EV charging incentives for both homes and businesses and has really done a great job in the multifamily sector. Actually, last night, someone came up to me and said, I have 150 chargers being built in my multifamily property. So thanks, Philip. And then we also have multiple income qualified programs, our e-bike rebates, our solar battery savings program, which provided free solar and storage, bless you, free solar and storage facilities to low-income customers through a state program, so we didn't pay for those at PCE. And we also have the Disadvantaged Communities Green Tariff Program, which provides certain customers with a 20% discount on their bill. And we talked about that a lot last month, so I won't go into it more. We do have more upcoming programs to reduce energy costs. We plan to launch our general market residential Solar+Storage program later this year, as well as a portable battery resiliency program that will help out folks who have outage issues. And we also hope to, we actually just last week submitted our application for about $36 million over the next 4 years to the Public Utilities Commission. And some of those energy efficiency initiatives obviously will be reducing energy consumption in our, well, actually all of them will be reducing energy consumption in our region. And then lastly, I'll just touch on policy advocacy very quickly. Director DeGolia accurately noted the role of the PUC is very mighty when it comes to setting costs for Californians. So something we're really pushing on right now is the reform of the power charge and difference adjustment. We saw that in volatility. Part of that was instituted by the Public Utilities Commission own review of how the rate was calculated just a few months ago. So that really increased volatility. And in response, we have the bill that Mike was talking about through CalCCA, AB 1738, to increase visibility into PCIA calculations. There have also been changes to the resource adequacy program. That is the capacity program that's run by the CPUC in partnership with the Energy Commission. And we also have a bill on that, which is SB 1138, which hopes to allow CCAs and other load-serving entities to trade some of their hourly load obligations instead of paying for large chunks at a time. We've also been doing a lot of policy advocacy on right-sizing electrification installations, which Sean was mentioning in our electrification without upsizing event. Right-sizing electrification installations has the potential to save between $15 and $30 billion over the next 40 years. Because if you're not upgrading lines, if you're not upgrading wires, you save all those costs for the customers. And upgrading lines and poles and wires, that cost is spread throughout all customers. It's not just the people who are on the end of that specific line. So if we can reduce those costs for individuals, we also end up reducing those costs for everybody on the grid. And lastly, we have our legislative engagement, which Mike was discussing, especially AB 2111, to adjust how we do transmission planning to be more robust. So with that, I will take a breath and I will allow questions on any of the slides or items today.
Can I just make
Sure.
one add on? Could we go back a slide?
Yes.
One thing that is sort of sprinkled throughout here, but I think it's also a relatively new strategic direction for us. And part of the reason that we hired Yana Kopacek-Landa was to really lean into how we can leverage public goods charges, public PPP funds that come through the CPUC and the state. So for example, the energy efficiency funding, the SCHIP program, which is basically doing home upgrade for lower income folks. Microgrid we've already talked about, but we're really, for the first time in the last couple of years, bringing money in so that we can not have that impact our ratepayer funding, and that also helps us keep rates lower. Because those are not going back out the door to pay for those programs. We're leveraging public money for that. So I think that's just an overarching strategy that we hope to continue doing in the future. Thanks, Sean. Questions on this section?
Can you explain the RA trading and slice of day? And I hear all that, but I don't really understand it.
Yeah, Jeremy, I'm really hoping you're on the line. Is Jeremy on the line now? Great. He will explain it much better than I will.
Hi there, members of the board. Hopefully you can see and hear me just fine. So resource adequacy is a program that ensures there is enough capacity providing resources under contract for California for the year ahead to meet any peak demand from, say, summer heat waves or other spikes in usage throughout the year. And the old RA convention was to build it all around that annual peak that was usually the hottest day in summer when everyone's lights or air conditioning is on and industry is running hot. And it has changed with time. As more and more solar has come online, that summertime peak has been a bit less of a concern, especially as we've added more storage as well. But now we're seeing peaks in evening demand and ramp that occur throughout the year and more in the shoulder months, so fall and springtime. So slice of day is a shift to move away from planning everything for that hottest or highest demand day out of the year to looking at demand as it's spread across every month of the year, and particularly high days within each every month, and ensuring there's adequate capacity in each of those months. The resource transactability aspect of it is that as you map out where those spikes are month by month, and you allocate to each load serving entity a share of how many megawatts we have to procure to contribute to meet those peaks. The kind of map of how much capacity we need by month doesn't necessarily match cleanly with how capacity is provided by different power plants. And so there's a chance for us to say, if we have a little too much in one month, to trade it to another CCA who has a need in that month, but has extra in another month that we need instead. And so it's just creating more market efficiency through allowing load serving entities to either swap aspects of the capacity of the resources, or to swap shares of their obligation so that others can meet portions of a load serving entity's obligations on others' behalf under a contractual arrangement. So
it's over procurement.
It's minimizing over procurement is really the thrust of what we're trying to do.
And we trade, or will trade just among the CCAs?
We can trade, no, we trade with all sorts of load serving entities and generators. Yeah, so it's a very robust market.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Any more questions? Okay. Thank you all, and thanks everybody on the line. Appreciate your SME.
I do want to say that part of the reason that we've did this tonight, and thank you so for putting it together so well, is to educate all of you, but this is a hot topic in your communities. And so what we're asking you to do, and I know there's a lot here, so if you need sort of some follow-up, we're happy to do it, but we want you to get out there and perhaps talk about all the different opportunities and the ways that we are trying to contain costs. I don't want to have anyone under the illusion that, you know, costs are going to come down, because they're simply not. The procurement working group had a discussion with Roy and team, and, you know, the truth of the matter is that line just continues to rise in the out years. So the best we can do is to contain it and to continue to offer as much of a discount as we can. But we also need you to understand it so that you can hopefully correct if there's any misinformation or just let people know what's going on. Thank you.
So would you be able to prepare like a one pager or maybe a one landing page on the website, just that we could direct people to?
Sure.
That'd be helpful.
Thank you.
I think that would be really helpful, and this whole discussion has been helpful as was the staff report. One of the things that I think would be interesting as well is if there was just a little bit of comment about how the price of natural gas is also rising. So that people aren't just thinking, oh, I electrified, now I'm caught in this upward cycle. It's all utilities.
That's a good comment. Thank you.
Going on next, if we have
Public
public comment. I was waiting for the public comment. It's all in front of me. Anybody here?
Thank you, Sean.
Anybody online?
No public.
No hands up? Okay, that
Short
was,
meeting tonight.
that was a discussion item, so, moving on.
Moving on to our final item of the evening, as an action item from the Solar and Storage for Public Buildings Program, a contract amendment with McMillan Electric to increase the not to exceed by 5.8 million. We'll talk to you about that. For a total of around 35 million for solar battery storage and EV charging and associated power purchase agreements. So led by Peter Levitt, our senior manager of distributed energy resources, and I believe Jennifer Stalder, our legal counsel, has something to add.
We have a memo at your place here that is correcting the contract amount from 5.8 million to 5 million. So we wanted to go ahead and make sure that change is, everyone is aware of that change. It was not made within the time set that we could put it on the agenda, but it is a reduction of $800,000 in the agenda.
Take it away.
Great. Good evening, directors, members of the public, and fellow staff. My name is Peter Levitt. I'm PCE's Senior Manager for Distributed Energy Programs, and I'm going to be speaking about our Solar and Storage for Public Buildings program tonight. So we have a request for you tonight to approve an amendment with our construction partners, McMillan Electric, to add new facilities to our portfolio of sites under the GovPV program to construct new solar and storage. We selected these sites with a high degree of intentionality. They include the Daly City City Hall, the Redwood City Police Department, the South San Francisco Police Department, and I will explain the rationale behind those three site selections. And the total funds that we're requesting are $5 million. That includes $4.2 million of new funding going towards the contract with McMillan or towards the program at large, and also the incorporation of an $800,000 previously approved member agency grant going towards the Daly City City Hall project specifically. We chose that City Hall project to include in this portfolio because it's able to leverage that member agency grant as well as a $1 million grant from the California Energy Commission to reduce the cost of battery storage. So that project is able to leverage quite a lot of external funding. The Redwood City Police Department project was selected to be included for new funding because Redwood City has not participated in the GovPV program yet. So we wanted to get them involved. And then the South San Francisco Police Department was selected because staff ran it through. It was the highest ranked project based on criteria developed by staff for a variety of reasons. So I'm going to give you an overview about what our Solar and Storage for Public Buildings program is all about, or GovPV is what we call it colloquially. I'll talk through the way that we're conceptualizing battery storage in this portfolio. We'll look ahead strategically, and then we'll bring back the recommendation. Before delving into the GovPV program in particular, just a quick overview about energy programs at large. We largely deliver three types of energy programs: building electrification, transportation electrification, and distributed energy resources or solar and storage. Under distributed energy resources, we have programs for residential customers, non-residential or governmental customers, and then we also have virtual power plant programs that span a variety of customer types. So the GovPV program, as you can probably deduce, is a solar and storage program for non-residential or public agency customers. So that's where it falls under our umbrella of total programs. And delivering on this program helps PCE achieve progress towards one of its strategic goals, which is to accelerate distributed energy resource adoption by adding at least 15 megawatts of local solar, 35 megawatt hours of local battery storage, and launching at least 110 megawatt VPP or virtual power plant that delivers value to customers, communities, and the grid. So this is intrinsic to our strategic initiatives at PCE. The GovPV program is a program where we're developing and installing local renewables at public agency facilities. Many of you are familiar with it because it's touched a lot of your communities, but for those who aren't familiar, the objectives of the program are predominantly to drive down costs. And we'll touch on the results of that to date. PG&E's rates are rising, and we're able to help customers shield against those rising energy rates. It also fosters local economic development. We're able to hire union contractors to work on these installations. And me and Ross were visiting some today and seeing them at work. It's good stuff. When you add battery storage to solar, it also delivers resilience by allowing these facilities to be powered by backup power and on-site renewables. Those resources also provide grid value to Peninsula Clean Energy. So there's a lot of synergies between what we're doing both for the community, but also for the grid. And a core objective of this program is to make it reproducible and to deliver a new service model within PC. The nuts and bolts of how GovPV works is that our team, the Distributed Energy Resources team, provides a comprehensive project development and installation service to any agency that's participating. So let's say your city hall wants to get solar and battery storage at it. You contact PCE. At some point, we will reach out to you and say, okay, we're going to start to develop this project. We'll educate you on the benefits and details of solar and battery storage. We'll generate a design for your facility staff to review. We will run an RFP process to select a union contractor. We will procure all of the equipment through a group purchase in order to achieve economies of scale. And then we'll actually oversee the installation and maintain the system over its lifetime. So it is a soup to nuts turnkey program that PCE offers. And this stuff is complicated, and it's really hard for public agency staff to develop these kinds of things on their own at scale, which is a big reason why PCE is doing this. A core tenet of the program is that it is financed through what's called a power purchase agreement. And I'm sure many of you are familiar with PPAs, but this contractual mechanism and financial instrument allows agencies to procure renewables without any upfront investment. PCE owns and finances all of the equipment, and that allows the agency to get renewables at your facilities with no upfront cost. And then we enter into a long-term contract, and by doing that, PCE recovers the investment into solar and battery storage over a long-term period. But we don't have any profit motive. A lot of PPAs are offered by companies that are profit seeking. We don't do this with a profit motive. We are just looking to recover our investment from we're looking to recover the investment into the clean energy infrastructure. We made a lot of progress to date. Back in March 2022, we came to you and got approved a request for up to $8 million to install 12 solar sites. And we did that, and that resulted in 1.7 megawatts of new capacity added. We then went back to you in January of 2024 and requested additional funding up to $23 million this time. You approved that, and we got an additional 24 sites under development, and almost all of those are complete. That is a huge success for our organization. We have now 5.2 megawatts of solar sites that are complete or nearly complete. Of those combined 36 sites, 31 are fully mechanically complete and installed. Then we went back to the board to request additional funding, this time up to $30 million in aggregate for battery retrofits. And now we're here to request additional funding up to an incremental $5 million, up to $35 million for 3 additional projects. At the bottom, sort of in fine print there, sorry that it's in small fonts. You can see that we have a very large pipeline of known prospective projects. This amounts to a projected $80 million in total capital costs and over 10 megawatts of solar and battery storage. So we're not here to talk about that tonight, but we're flagging that because it's relevant to the discussion overall. So we want to show you a little bit of the progress we've made thus far. This is Menlo Park City Hall project, the 356 kilowatt installation. Over the long-term power purchase agreement with PCE, this project is expected to save the city $2.5 million. This is the little lag. This is this newly constructed San Bruno Aquatic Center. It's a 277 kilowatt installation and expected to save San Bruno over $3 million, $3.3 million. And then this is the Atherton City Hall, and it's a 113 kilowatt installation, expected to save Atherton $830,000. So these are huge wins for the team and real savings for the agencies that are participating in the program. We have had a lot of delivery in this program. You can see the list of sites on the right-hand side, or maybe you can't because the text is so small, apologies again. But you can kind of see the map representing a pretty diverse geography of installations throughout the county. So that is, that's a win for the organization. And again, this amounts to 5.2 megawatts of local renewables that we've been able to install in this program, and over $48 million in projected savings for the participating agencies. So with Redwood City, we would have 18 participating agencies. Today we have 17, and we'd love to get everybody involved. So next we're going to talk about battery storage. The focus of this program to date has been to complete the solar parts first in order to grandfather as many of those systems as we could into net metering 2, which is a favorable rate for solar facilities to be on. Now we're looking to go back and add battery retrofits after the fact. So like I mentioned, funds were approved by the board in February of 2025 to install and finance up to 19 solar battery retrofits. And batteries are a lot more complicated than solar. Solar, it just produces energy when it produces energy, and that's when you use it. Batteries, you have to make some decisions. When to charge the battery, when to discharge the battery. And so our team's been busy developing robust contract terms for the participating agencies, and especially been doing a lot of work on tooling to make battery storage projects a known thing to the organization, especially with respects to pricing, sizing, and the amount of backup power that they can deliver. Just like with solar, PCE does a turnkey program development process here: assessment, system design, contracting, financing, construction, and long-term maintenance. And then as a reminder, the board also approved in the end of 2023 up to $5 million of surplus funds that will be used to drop down the battery PPA price amongst those who are participating in the program. So just looking ahead about what is in front of us here, we've requested several different tranches of funding approvals under this program. And the 8 million, the 15, the 17 million, and the 5 million amount to the 35 million in aggregate go with our construction partners, McMillan Electric. And like I mentioned, we have a pipeline of $80 million of projects that are known to PC at this time. There's probably plenty others that are not known. One of the reasons we're here requesting additional funding is because it'll take us a while to investigate partnership opportunities to capitalize all of that large pipeline. We want to diversify the way that this program is capitalized. We've been financing it directly in our balance sheet to date, but we want to explore third-party lending, low-interest lending, and we've been having discussions with one lender, iBank, to take out a low-interest infrastructure loan to capitalize a new portfolio in the future. But in the meantime, we have some projects that we'd like to develop, and so that's why we're here tonight. But overall, this is an important thing to keep in mind. Our goal here is to create a financially scalable program. So we can't do that with just PCE capital. And that's why we're exploring these innovative partnerships, these new partnerships with third-party lenders. And all of that would help PCE deliver on this new service model. Other organizations have mirrored our approach to GovPV, although our success is outsized comparatively. The deployments we've done so far are significant by comparison, but other CCAs are starting on this work now, especially reproducing the same kind of PPA, CCA owned type of program model. And so you can see some of our sister organizations that we're working with and educating them on our approach. So going back to the recommendation here, we are looking for an amendment to the agreement with our construction provider to add these new sites. And especially we want to include these 3 sites in the next round of portfolio. And this would result in $4.2 million in new funds being approved. And then we'd also incorporate a member agency grant that would go towards the city of Daly City. I think that we have one question from Director Mackin. And then there are a couple more slides after this.
I don't want to take this down a rabbit hole, but if we don't go over this tonight, in a future meeting, I would like to have a little more information. For instance, what is the lifespan of large-scale commercial batteries? Are we still, as we discussed last fall, undergoing shortages since a lot of these batteries were made in China? Is the cost of these batteries, is it escalating or has it stabilized? Or are they still affected in a shortage by tariffs? Are they being manufactured domestically? Because last fall, we were told that domestic manufacturing was keying up on residential sized batteries, but not commercial domestically. And then the final question, and you don't have to answer any of these, but again, a future meeting, it would be helpful. Have we explored other technologies in that we're constantly reading about other ways to store energy, not getting into lithium batteries, other technologies that are safer, so greater community acceptance? And could they be scaled down to GovPV level or used on large DER projects? And would other technologies potentially lower the cost, which would give us greater implementation over time? That's my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Mackin. I would love to have coffee with you sometime because you seem like an inquisitive individual. I can address a lot of these. Sean, would you like to say anything?
So I would suggest, Director Mackin, if you don't mind following up with those questions in an email, maybe just so we get them all. I wouldn't go every single one, just if you could do a quick flyby and then we've got a couple more.
Yeah. So suffice it to say, Director Mackin and the rest of the directors, we've definitely been exploring every single question that Director Mackin inquired about and then some. So thankfully, there is a lot of domestic manufacturing ramping up in the United States. The Inflation Reduction Act that was passed several years back really started to spur a lot of domestic manufacturing. And so when the One Big Beautiful Bill Act last year was enacted and sort of shocked the supply chain momentarily, there were already endeavors to ramp up domestic manufacturing of battery storage products. And due to that, we're not seeing a massive increase in cost for procuring battery storage at this scale. This is a unique market for battery storage. Typically, the largest markets are batteries that go in your garage, like at your home, or those that go in a field and power large solar arrays or charge from large solar arrays. This is a middle market, and so there is a higher per capita cost. But that said, the way that we structure this program allows agencies to say yes or no. I want to pay for this. I want to pay for the backup power at the price that you're providing me, and that's all there is to it. It's a even if the prices are high, some agencies will say I still need backup power and I want to get that from a battery. And so this program is slightly price agnostic, which is favorable. But that said, we also are in the process of evaluating which equipment vendors would be appropriate for the program and what are their costs and where are their manufacturing sources. So that's maybe the tip of the iceberg on a response to all the questions. So let me pause on that. Anything else on that line of questioning?
We can come back to the whole board with the rest of the responses.
Great.
Director Dugan had a question.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so very supportive of this program. We have 2 of the solar installs in San Carlos. My question is there anything else like this, analogous in our portfolio? I mean, most of our contracts, I know, we're basically contracting for future supply. So we just kind of pay as we go when that comes, when that supply comes, but we're committing to it. But here we're the ones leading with the capital. And I understand it's a big difference, and that's why you're looking for financing sources. But is there anything else in our portfolio that's analogous where we actually put the capital out front?
Yeah, I would say that our on-bill financing program is probably the closest proxy where residential customers that are looking to finance building electrification equipment can take out a short-term 5-year loan with Peninsula Clean Energy to do that. That is, the scale is different. It's a smaller program comparatively, but that's the closest that PCE has, unless you think differently, Raphael. Yeah.
Okay, now that helps. As we think about these, because capital is always a constraint. As we think about laying these out, we will want to look at kind of what's the most efficient programs that we're investing in, right? So they're all good, but some will be more efficient than others. And I'll just call out. So we have 2 of these in San Carlos, and if you have them in your community and you haven't seen, there's a web portal you can pull up with real-time reporting, which is really fun. Encourage it. Today, our youth center solar array produced 140 kilowatt hours. It's been active just about 2 years, and that's been 86 megawatt hours produced and 293,000 pounds of CO2 saved off our youth center roof in 2 years. So,
And that's a small one.
and for a city, it was a slam dunk, right? It's like, you want 3 solar panels that you pay back over time with cheaper electricity? It's like, yes.
We don't like this.
It's really great program.
So there's just a couple more elements that I want to address here. In terms of the fiscal impact to PCE, again, we're paying up to $35 million, and there's a $5 million incremental ask before you tonight for all of the installation of the solar and battery storage components in this program. On the flip side, PCE enters into PPA agreements with the participating agencies where they're paying us monthly for the energy that is produced from the systems so that we can recoup our investments into the construction and maintenance costs. There are external funds at play here. The federal investment tax credit has been captured by PCE, which is excellent. We were able to capture what is known as elective or direct pay, which is a federal tax benefit available even to nonprofit agencies. Unfortunately, that is no longer going to be available for most solar projects, but it will still be available limitedly for battery projects, which is good. And then there are grants and surplus funds that I've mentioned throughout this presentation, all of which contribute towards reducing PPA price charge to the public agency for the energy produced by the systems. Then lastly, again, just to bring this point home, this is all net neutral to PCs. This is not a profit motive program. We capture all our costs, including a modest cost of capital, so that we break even over a 20-year period with the agency. So here's the resolution. Sean, are you gonna say something?
There's a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so quick question. What happens at end of life? There's actually kind of 2 end of life points to these kind of systems. One's the end of its economic life, which is where the revenue from the city has paid off the cost of installing the system. What happens at that point? And then what happens at the physical end of life? Every system like this doesn't last forever. At some point, the hardware dies and it's got to be taken off and replaced or something has to be done with it because it doesn't last forever. What's the scenario at those two end of life points?
Those are great questions. Thank you, Director. I'll address the second point first. So to the second point with respect to the recycling of the equipment, that's the same as with any utility infrastructure like utility scale solar energy or solar panels, where the company that installed them is on the hook to uninstall them and then find a home for them elsewhere, either by recycling them or sending them to another part of the world that might benefit from, at that point, a lower efficiency yield of those panels. But there are a lot of recycling endeavors. There are some successful companies in this space today that recycle solar panels at the end of their life. I don't think that it's a perfect recycling procedure presently, but there will certainly be more companies popping up like that over the next 20 years. And then speaking to your first question, PCE in our PPAs give agencies three options at the end of the 20-year power purchase agreement period. The first one is, I'm done with this system. Thank you for everything. Please uninstall it and go about, your business since the partnership concludes. The second option is, I liked what I got. I want to extend this. And so they can either extend it by 5 years or they can extend it 5 years again. So up to 10 years, there's a 5 to 10 year PPA extension. Or if they really like what the equipment that is producing power on their roof or in their parking lot, they can also purchase the equipment at that time at what an independent assessor would evaluate as for a fair market value. So it would be a much lower cost than purchasing the equipment up front. The equipment is eroded, it's largely depreciated. So they would be able to purchase it at a modest price. So those are the three options that we afford to customers.
Great, thank you.
There's another question over here.
Just one part of that. How long does the battery or the solar panels last, like time wise? And the batteries, what's the average life of a panel, a new panel?
Yeah, I neglected to address this, but Director Mackin asked as well, but the typical lifespan of a solar panel is about 20 to 30 years, and they're warranted for typically 20 years, 25 years. And then the inverters, which is a key component of the equipment as well, those are typically warranted also for 25 years. Batteries have a somewhat shorter warranty period. They're just a more nascent technology. And so I think that we're still getting to the place of having long-term warranties, but typically that's about 10 to 15 years as well. And so we try to pair our agreements to be as close as possible to the warranty life of the batteries, 15 years. Some equipment providers offer a longer term warranty, like 20 years.
Then there's one more question. When you guys came to Half Moon Bay, and that was an excellent meeting, and it was well attended, and there was a lot of great information. They got on the discussion of the batteries, I'm sure you remember, and then there was kind of like, I want to call the heckler in the back. And I think it was Franklin, you were saying was the name of the battery you guys were choosing, is that correct?
Franklin is a battery that we've been installing under our residential program for low-income customers that was alluded to earlier, but we haven't decided which equipment provider we're going to select for the GovPV program.
Because the heckler was talking about, I disagree, and then he was bringing up his battery. So is there this battling between batteries there, or why did you choose Franklin or at that time?
Yeah, it's a maturing marketplace with respect to the equipment providers. And so there's a slew of criteria that you have to contemplate when you're selecting equipment under any of these programs. Cost, the chemistry of the batteries themselves, the ethics of their supply chain, the location of their manufacturing, their track record with performance. And so a lot of people feel adamantly about certain criteria over others. And in the end, for the first residential program that we've run last year, we chose Franklin for a variety of reasons, as well as some Tesla Powerwalls. But that portfolio is largely Franklin. So that's about as detailed as I think is appropriate. But do you think are there any other follow-up questions?
No, I'm just learning, and this is all new to me because I'm getting involved with it, and I've actually love my PG&E. I got my report back and it says my house is now A+ when it comes to being, efficient. It's more efficient than a new home. I was like, whoa, how's that? Well, the solar panels. So I'm thinking about going into the battery thing, and that's why I woke up when I went to that meeting. I was like, okay, that's my next level. Yeah. What about corrosion in an environment? So like you've done our sheriff's station and you've done our city hall, if I'm not mistaken. And we have them at our schools I was on planning commission at that time, we did our schools. How long with a corrosive kind of environment that we have fog and we have salt air, does that deteriorate the panels over time? And I'm thinking, because I mean, I know personally it does, because the aluminum is just deteriorating. But will the warranty still hold on those kinds of things?
That's a good question about the warranty itself. I'm a little unfamiliar with that. Might turn to you if you know this, Ross. But one thing we do on the actual installation of large carport structures is we galvanize the steel, and that adds a layer of protection to the steel structures themselves. But with respect to the glass and the photovoltaics, I actually am a little familiar.
So there's actually a certification for high salinity environments. So we specify equipment that's appropriate for coastal environments, which applies to the electrical panels, disconnects, the modules, and the racking. As Peter mentioned, we have galvanized all the carport structures in the high salinity environments. So all the equipment is rated for those high salty type environments.
Hope that helps.
Yeah, excellent.
Last chance for question. Oh, there's one right over there. Director Lorraine.
I just have, thank you. I just have a bit of a comment. I kind of wanted to echo and enhance a bit of what Director Dugan was mentioning earlier and how great of a program this has been for our agencies, including the city of San Mateo. And I think it's especially resonant tonight following the item we just had when we talk about how important top of mind affordability is and how useful a tool this is for our agencies to consider cost reductions of our own and in a renewable way as well, right? With clean energy. So just wanted to thank the presenter and PCE for moving this forward, and I will be supporting this.
Director Golia. Move approval. Have a move for approval?
Second.
Do you have a second?
We need public comment.
Oh, we do need.
Public comment.
That's why we have Nelly over there. And Jen, double-sided, right? Keeping us on our toes, so.
If there's any public comment on this item, please raise your hand in the Zoom app. Lauren? No public comment. Reset, we can proceed.
We have our first, we have our second.
Comment before we take a vote.
Oh,
Yes, I just want to say, I'm for this action item. And I just want to say, thank you, as part of being city representative here. And I think it's, one thing that I appreciate is that, when we're doing these, type of installation, we're using union work and, being very, very fiscally responsible in terms of the short term and long term for this. And I feel like with this evolution of PCE to Westlight, having this opportunity to kind of upscale Daly City Hall kind of goes alongside and aligns with the growth of PCE/Westlight. So thank you.
fantastic. Next steps, roll call vote.
Yes, but can I confirm who was the second? Thank you. Okay, and with that, San Mateo County applicant.
Yes.
Belmont,
Aye.
Brisbane,
Yes.
Burlingame, Homa,
Yes.
Daly City,
Yes.
East Palo Alto, Foster City,
Yes.
Half Moon Bay,
Yes.
Hillsborough,
Yes.
Los Banos, Menlo Park,
Yes.
Millbrae,
Yes.
Pacifica,
Yes.
Portola Valley, Redwood City, San Bruno,
Yes.
San Carlos,
Yes.
San Mateo,
Yes.
South San Francisco,
Yes.
Woodside.
Yes.
Thank you. And the motion carries, thank you. Okay,
That's
and
fantastic.
Thank you all.
our I know I said the last one was our final item, but our actual final item is board member reports.
Anybody have anything to report? Guess right here.
I wasn't sure how late the meeting would go, and then I realized I said this at exec, but not here, that I went to the community feedback forum in Half Moon Bay, and it was fantastic. So I do encourage you, if you can go to the May 4th one, double check with Nellie and Jen that we're still okay in terms of our numbers, not too many board members there, if that matters, given the topic, whatever the topic is, but it was just so much, even, it exceeded all expectations that I had. And I feel like the people in the room really felt heard. And Peter was there, and Yana, and Kristen and Vanessa, and someone presented also with Peter, and I forgot his name. But all the presentations were fantastic. And then we broke down into little breakout groups, and the Zoom, Vanessa ran the Zoom, and they broke out into breakout groups. And I've been to a lot of awkward breakout groups, and these were fantastic. And people, sometimes someone takes over, and people really felt, and Peter, I was at his, did such a good job listening, and people were like, "You really want to hear my story?" Yes, tell us your story about why, when you put on solar, it was such a pain, and they just really felt heard. And Peter's handing out his card. He said, "Please call me." And anyway, I just felt it was a huge success with great food too.
Great food.
Yes, but yes.
May 4th, Redwood City. So if you could put in your calendar. And anybody else have anything? Yes.
Yes, I just want to mention that thank you on behalf of the town of Houma on the installation of both the police department and the town hall. The only unfortunate part about it is we're gonna be waiting on PG&E for a long time. So other than that, looks great. The last one took us, I think, the community center took us, ended up being transformed, everything's planned out. And then it executes the plan. It's like, oh, you need this, you need that. And it was, I think, 6 months before we got it online. So we're crossing our fingers. We won't need transformers or anything else this time. So we'll see how it goes. But it looks great, and they're just waiting now. Not on anything with people. All PG right now at this point. But thank you.
Anyone else? I'll go back over there.
Director Mackin has her hand raised.
Yes, Director Mackin.
Yes, Brisbane would thank PCE also because we now have solar on our library, and we have a pool that's finally open with some heat pumps warming the water. And I would just caution Marty, do not say anything about this meeting tonight to Donna Colson, because someone who took great pride in being efficient in time spent in meetings doesn't want to hear how fast this meeting went tonight. Trying to figure out how you did this. Thank you.
It was a short agenda, so
Sure. She'll say.
It's everyone here, shots fired, so I got it. If I could just say that we still have Director Lorraine.
Thank you. Real quick, I appreciate it. CEO Marshall mentioning some of the events that have transpired since our last meeting, including the Sustainability Hub at the College of San Mateo, which was really awesome. I want to thank Chair Medina for allowing me to join him at the podium and cutting the ribbon and everything to my alma mater, if you will. I'm a College of San Mateo former student, and to see this edition was it was a great milestone, and to be there with Justin and Vanessa and Peninsula Clean Energy and including Chair Medina, and was a great day. So cool to be there. And yesterday, I don't want to steal your thunder too much, but it was an honor to be at the Sustainable San Mateo County Awards and to see one of our member agencies get recognized by Peninsula Clean Energy for taking a lead on local action, which is something I think everyone at the table can appreciate. And thank you, Mayor Nash and the City of Menlo Park for leading the way. And I'm hoping other cities, San Mateo, might get in the running for future cities. It's inspiring. Look forward to
the contest to come in future years.
You have to show off your cape. Yes.
Did you bring it?
Oh, I did. Those are coveted capes.
All right, that's a great thing to finish on if there's no one else that has a report. All right, meeting adjourned. Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you all next month.
Nothing to do with me.